What up? This is Myron, and you are listening to the Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, the Down on the Docks on the other side of the tracks, dive bar style podcast of and about the Seattle Mariners that you are listening to right here on the Odyssey app, or hey, wherever else you're getting that podcast action from. I'm not going to judge you as long as you're liking, subscribing, and doing all those good things. That goes as well for our YouTube page and our social medias. Also, if you're looking for the gear, if you want to be down, if you want that street cred for rocking the rye bread, hit up at simply.cora on Etsy or Instagram. That's at simply.cora. Hey, we're back this Monday regularly. Season 3 of the Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast begins. Man, it is going to be an interesting offseason. When we first started this podcast, you know, the Mariners were coming off of that 2021 campaign. Made some big trades. It was like, let's see what's going on. We had Julio in that first season. Obviously, we went to the playoffs. Last year's season was like Empire Strikes Back, you know. So hopefully this is the return of the Jedi season. If you do not know Star Wars, shame on you. Put down those Harry Potter books. Get into some Star Wars action, some classic Star Wars. But on today's impromptu Thanksgiving weekend leftovers / I am trying to numb my feelings about the Seattle Seahawks episode. We are going to be talking a little bit about Blake Snell, obviously the Geno trade to the damn Diamondbacks, getting another one of our fan favorites dealt by Jerry DiPoto. We're also going to talk about why that kind of triggers the feelings of the Seawald trade. Hey, with the Mariners seemingly not in the Ohtani sweepstakes, as far as everybody knows. Talking a little bit about Plan B, and a lot of people talking about Soto, as well as a little bit of a rant session or a bitching and moaning session. A couple ticket holders that did not renew their season tickets for 2024. We're going to hear about it and why and what would make them renew their tickets. Most of this conversation happened at the Sloop Tavern prior to this trade with Geno Hernandez. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that when we get back, and we'll dive more into that on Monday morning when we start the new season of the Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast. And I'm going to shut the hell up, and we're going to get into this episode right after this.
Get ready to play hardball in the Kingdom.
Take me to the ball game. I want to see the M's. The Mariners are playing hardball. Did it again and again and again. Did it again.
Princess Tours, the vacation company, brings you the best show in baseball when the San Diego Chicken plays hardball with the Seattle Mariners and the Baltimore Orioles tonight in the Kingdom.
All right, if you're watching the Seahawks Thanksgiving Day game, you notice that Blake Snell, last year's NL Cy Young winner, free agent, and homegrown local boy, was raising the 12th man flag, which has gotten everybody talking online, talking on social media. Is this a sign he's coming to the Mariners? Possibly could be. How excited I would be about that? It depends. It depends on what else is happening. I personally kind of feel like it's similar to another Robbie Ray trade. He's coming off of Cy Young. He's in that very early 30s range. I just have a hard time seeing him give a big discount to the Seattle Mariners coming off of a Cy Young. I'm sure his agents maybe doesn't really want to do that, but he's been very vocal about wanting to come here, and that's something that we bring up here in this discussion. This was recorded at the Sloop Tavern in Ballard, right off of Market Street, nestled right in between the Ballard Locks and the Nordic Heritage Museum, right there on Market Street. Great kitchen, great atmosphere to watch the games, authentic Ballard bar. Thank God it's still there. Anyways, here's our thoughts on the Blake Snell situation.
What do you think about Blake Snell? Any smoke there, Hannah?
I read an article by USA Today's Bob Nightingale, and he mentioned Blake Snell and him being for Seattle, Blake saying that he would love to come here. He didn't talk about, specifics as far as contract, but it's nice to hear Seattle guys saying they want to come here, especially a great player, this year's Cy Young Award winner. I think there's a way for it to make it happen, spend some money, all that money you're making on your profits. I just want good players. And if good players want to come here and then we shun them, that bugs me.
I'd love to see Blake Snell come here just because I like seeing local products. I love seeing, like Ma was saying, I love seeing Corbin Carroll in the World Series. That was really cool.
That was fun.
I mean, I'd love to see Corbin Carroll play for the Mariners. Also, you don't get many, players coming out of the Seattle area just so come back here and actually be good.
Well, Blake Snell's going to be commanding probably a $200 million contract. That's the other thing. He's not just going to be like, I'm going to do 1 year and bet the farm on myself for what? He was a Cy Young. He's going to cash in. But a way I could possibly see this is maybe you deal somebody, maybe you deal Logan Gilbert or something like that. Then I could see signing Snell, and this is obviously without Ohtani here, and then going out and trading for a front end bat and making room in the rotation. That's the only way I could see that happening. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's how I would think that would make sense.
Kind of what we're getting at is we just want to see the Mariners make one big move. How about just one big move at this offseason? Make one big trade, whether it's Pete Alonso, Juan Soto, Ohtani, something like that. Get one of those guys here, and then build off that. That's what we're missing right now, I think.
Is Soto a free agent?
No, Soto he has one more year on his deal with San Diego, so he would be a 1 year rental unless you get a sign and trade deal.
Yeah, you have to trade for him. Same with like Pete Alonso. He has 1 more year left on his deal, and so they're talking like we have to give up Bryce Miller or Wu in a package, with some other guys to try to get one of those big bats over here.
I said, I agree with you, Myron, on the Snell scenario. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. If that was to happen, the Soto, the Alonso talk, yeah, they're great players. I'd like to have them, but there's that risk of them not coming back. And it all, for me, depends on what the trade would be, what top end prospects, or not even prospects, starting pitching would be involved in a trade for a Soto or a Alonso. That's what it comes down to for me. I mean, what are you guys feeling? Is it, I just want him, I don't care what we give up for him? Or yeah, it's just interesting to see how the Mariners are going to go after this offseason. I mean, with all the backlash, the talk from Jerry DiPoto at the end of the year press conference, the slap in the face to the fans of, his comments. I mean, they got some work to do to get some fans back and believing in them again. And it's just going to be interesting to see if they open up the pocketbook and, make these trades or make these deals or free agents that are a little riskier and things that they don't usually play with, and go after. But we need that too. We need a lot, don't we, Ma?
Yep. I mean, you traded away Seawald. It was fun watching him again in the World Series, but
It wasn't fun at all.
well, I like the night he blew the save. Yeah.
And though this was recorded, before the Geno trade, I still feel like you are going to have to move somebody out of the current rotation for it to make the most sense. But we'll just have to see. We'll jump more into that on Monday. Maybe something's going to happen here over the weekends. I'm sure tons of drunk Seahawk fans at the game were taking this as a signal that the deal is done. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying no. I am turning down a Cy Young award pitcher coming off a Cy Young award year. I'm just a little bit more in the camp of we need to get some offense. We just traded Geno Hernandez, and we just, along with not giving Teo Hernandez his qualifying offer, tons of strikeouts coming off the board, some money coming off the books, but also a shitload of run production and hitting in scoring position. So, and leadership. So, again, we'll get right into the Geno thing right after this. So, obviously, we didn't get to talk about the Geno thing because it happened after this recording. But my feeling on this is another one of these. We're going to have to see how this shakes out, because as far as losing one of the guys, I mean, this is big. This is huge. This is on the level, if not bigger, than losing Seawald, of what the guy brings to the team. Big and clutch situations, maybe not as much last year, but plays a good third base. Yeah, you are eliminating the strikeouts, but right now I'm trying to focus on what positives we are walking away from by trading him to Arizona, which I don't think the return on this is what it's about. It's about clearing up some spending money that Jerry and the organization are allowed to spend. I look at the third basemen that are available. There's a lot of third basemen that maybe you can just lock up for a year. But a lot of these guys are a bit older than Geno. But I do look at Evan Longoria, a Turner, 1 year with them. Low commitment is not too bad. You're definitely looking at people that make more contact. But, Geno, as far as what he brought with the good vibes, he's leaving this organization and the locker room in a better place. But a big fan favorite. I know my 92-year-old grandma, Norma, does not want to discuss this right now. Hannah was a huge fan of Geno, especially what he's done with his glove. So it's going to be interesting to hear what happens on Mondays. And gosh, I feel bad for Luis Castillo. This is one of the guys he came up with in Cincinnati, and was probably a big instrumental part of making the Rock feel comfortable and wanted, and signing the deal here. One of those definitely like, hey, you better show me why you did this situation. I get it. I understand it. It just hurts. It's just one of those ones that just hurts, especially around the holidays. But again, he's shown a lot of these younger players, like Julio and Cal and all these guys, the way, the Mariners have had some of these really good veteran mentor types in the locker room, whether it's Carlos Santana, whether it's Geno, whether it's Teo, I kind of think back to like when the Seahawks kind of did this with Lawyer Malloy, with Sidney Rice. You had veterans come in with those Legion of Boom guys, and in the 2010 and 2011 seasons, when these guys were first coming up, really showing them the way. I'm hoping that's what's happening here. I know with Kyle Seager, you had a real leader in the clubhouse, very outspoken on his way out, very bittersweet end. But, he shaped and molded a lot of what you see out of leadership from J.P. Crawford. And, Geno came in here, and this is a big credit to Geno. It's like we feel like a lot of us feel like, wow, we didn't even miss a beat. Seager and Suarez had different strengths, but a lot of similarities. And one of them was definitely providing runs. Not great on the average and really, really good in the field, maybe playing their best. I mean, we all know how Kyle Seager was with the glove, and we saw how Geno kept improving, and for my money was snubbed of not being a finalist for, third base, Gold Glove third baseman. But anyways, it's a tough one. I am going to eat my emotions on this one, and we'll talk a little bit about it on Monday with Hanno. One thing I do want to mention that the Eugenio trade to Arizona does, to me at least, and maybe to other people, it kind of leaves this triggering feeling. It definitely hit this funny bone. It definitely triggered the feeling of trading Paul Sewald, another beloved Mariner last season that we had to watch play throughout the playoffs into the World Series from, outside the gymnasium, staring in at the dance, watching everybody else have fun, at watching everybody else fog up the windows. And that's how it felt. But I would be remiss if I did not feel good about what we got in return, especially in Canzone. Bliss does look promising in the minors as well. And Rojas is good bench depth, especially from the left side. Canzone does not strike out a lot. He's a put it in play guy, which it seems like that's what the Mariners are rebuilding to be as far as the lineup this next year. So going forward, I do feel like it was a pretty good trade. Last year, it was hard to see how that was going to help the Mariners, right then and there. Possibly that trade was a trade for the future, which I shouldn't say possibly, because that's pretty much how it was laid out. But then there was also like, no, this helps the lineup this year, which is also just a little bit of a cleanup job when the Mariners went on that long streak to not act like they threw in the towel. We're kind of discussing all of that right here that we did at the Sloop Tavern in Ballard, along with the need of finding somebody to be that closer on the Mariners. Check it out.
Yes, once you lost Sewald, your bullpen just wasn't like your strong point anymore. It was not anything that anybody feared. They couldn't shorten the game as much. But also he gave up a couple of games in Arizona. I don't know what the war on that trade is like, but maybe in the long run it could be better. But last year it definitely sucked for what we needed. If they were going to give him up for more offense, like Hanno said, he thinks it was a trade for the future, and just the Mariners got themselves back into it. It wasn't a trade for last year, right, Hanno? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I just felt like the Mariners felt they were out of it. And, yeah, it was to acquire something for a guy that was your best trade piece that would give you back the most value. And that's why they did it. And I kind of got to agree with you, Myron. I mean, yeah, last year was tough, and I kind of like Canzone too. It's still early on him. We haven't seen the young kid Bliss, who was in Tacoma. I was reading the second baseman. I was reading he won the Fall League MVP for defense. So the jury's still out on him. Rojas was okay. So I guess I would just say the trade's incomplete to judge it right now.
Yeah, and Rojas is good depth. I have no problem as a depth guy. Is that the guy I want to trot out there and be starting second baseman on opening day? I'd hope maybe it's something stronger, but he's definitely one of those guys that I'm like, I like him better than I like a Haggerty and maybe even a Dylan Moore. I don't know. So I kind of like that for that, but
but it gets back to Ma's point. We're going to need a closer or something. I mean, or someone to replace what Sewald gave us. Are we going with Munoz, Brash again? Do we feel that they can be the guys that can take that role, that responsibility, or are they not? Or are we going to have to go get a closer? Or are we going to have to go get a third setup guy, like you said, Myron, to shorten the game? So someone needs to be picked up no matter what, like Ma said.
Yeah, there is an opening. I don't care whether they say there is no closer. It's high leverage only. I know you need a closer.
Yeah, and my opinion is there's a new breed of closer out there these days too. You get these guys that are coming up throwing 103 miles an hour. Like Duran maybe. There's just like 4 or 5 guys in MLB right now that are throwing 102 plus, 103. You're seeing it, And there's these guys in the minor that are just coming up that are a new breed, and I think that's the new kind of closer that I would like to see the Mariners have.
Baseball sure has changed, Junior.
Yeah, the hexagon replaced the diamond.
And can you imagine facing 3 pitches?
Emerson on base. Oh, the base ejector got him snoozing. He goes
Why did
sailing.
it all change?
All sport. The game just got too easy.
The unsurpassed taste of all sport. A third more carbs than Gatorade for energy could make a difference.
Next up,
Your grandson's up.
Ken Griffey IV. He connects. It's going. Watch out, center point. Oh!
Center Brent got him.
He was robbed.
All sport body quencher. The game will never be the same.
This next segment's pretty straightforward. We're just talking a little bit more about Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, a little bit about India, and just talking about why, in particular, maybe you'd want Soto more than Pete Alonso. Doing this with the Ninja, Ma Baker, and Hanno. Again, from the Sloop Tavern in Ballard, in Seattle, on Market Street. Check it out.
His plate discipline is, off the charts. That's what the whole thing is. He doesn't swing at bad pitches.
And he feels like he's been around forever, but he hasn't. He has, but he's 25 years old?
Yep.
So he's only a couple of years older than Julio, like 3 years older than Julio.
So with a guy like him, yeah, you guys are right. Incredible hitter, been around so long, came up as a young kid that it does feel like he's in his 30s, but he's not. Got a lot of career ahead of him. For a guy like that, I've seen some things. What would it take to get a guy like that? Would it take a George Kirby, a Kelnick, a big high prospect, maybe a Harry Ford? Is that something you guys would pull the trigger on? That's a lot.
I think the Padres, though, before who you think, I just want to say this. I think the Padres, if they're making a trade on somebody like Juan Soto, only has 1 year, but look at the rest of their team. They have a lot of money committed. Maybe they do get Snell back. So I think they're going to want somebody that affects the team this year. So you're talking one of the starters or somebody who's a starter, maybe a Miller, maybe a Wu, maybe not one of our offensive players in the minors, but I think it's somebody right now. Maybe it's Jared Kelnick, So
I think I would be willing to give up more for him if it was a sign and trade. I would give up the house for him to sign a 5 or 6 year contract with us. If that was the case, then the price goes up. If it's just for a 1 year rental, then it's like a Harry Ford or a Wu or a Clapp, one of our good prospects for him. And same goes with Pete Alonso. Is he going to be a trade and sign him kind of guy? Then the price tag kind of goes up. Pete Alonso's due about $21 million next year. If you sign him for 5 years for $120 million, something like that. If we're able to do that, then but I'd rather have Juan Soto. We're talking, fantasy baseball right now. What I would like to see. I
mean, and you forget too, a couple of years ago, we wanted Juan Soto so bad during the trade deadline when it was the Juan Soto sweepstakes, and the Padres were the ones that pulled the trigger.
You're right, and they gave up a boatload for him. And so, like you guys mentioned, with only 1 year remaining, it could be less.
Again, I'd love to see either of those. If I had to be pressed on one, it's definitely Soto. I definitely just want to shore up that outfield spot that always just seems to be like a rotating hole out there. I know second base is something that we need to look into, but also I'm not seeing a second baseman that's knocking, 30, 40 home runs, 100 RBIs. That's what I'm after right now. Me personally is we need at least 180 RBIs coming back just to be where we were last year. As far as the contact stuff, sure, Soto is going to have a little bit more discipline than what we've had out there. But also, and he has the most swag, so I feel like that's the guy I would go after. But I definitely would not be upset if we could get Pete Alonso in here and get him long-term as well. And maybe there will be more, smoke to this story going forward now that we've made some more room. We'll talk about it again on Monday with Hanno. All right, this last segment is just more of a bitching and moaning and talking it out segment about the Mariners pumping up the prices on the season tickets and how they kind of made you feel a little bit pressured into the tickets and getting the playoff tickets last year, and maybe some promises that weren't kept, or, the way they go about things kind of makes you feel a little bit not important for being a season ticket holder, like maybe when you first got in. We're just talking about it with two people that did not renew their season tickets, and we're going to find out if they're going to renew their tickets. Look, this is hard-hitting shit right here, okay? Anyways, check it out. This was recorded at the Sloop Tavern in Ballard. It's Ma Baker. It's the Ninja. It's Hanno. And yours truly.
It's time to hear from a couple of season ticket holders. Why did you not renew your tickets, and what were you pissed off about? You were telling me when we were starting this that you're pissed off early on.
Well, I didn't renew because, for one thing, they upped the price. So the same thing that I bought last year, they upped the price by $150. I said, and I asked why, and I got some BS, response about blah, blah, blah. I don't even remember what it was. It didn't even make sense. And I'm just over it. I'm tired, all these years. And I just thought, well, you know what? When they go to the World Series, I'll just spend $1,000 for a ticket, and I'll get spending my money on the stupid season tickets, and just go balls out for World Series tickets, So I can just buy bleacher seats for any game I want to go to, and not have to worry about. I'll miss paying the Ticketmaster fees, but I also live close to the stadium, so I can just go down and buy them at the box office. But no, you get tired of waiting. I got tired of waiting. How many years has it been? I'm tired of waiting, and so there you go.
But you've been around. You've been around since the Lefevre year, since Junior was there.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
late 80s, and it's just, I've been waiting, as we all have. And
when we got season tickets, and then they come out with $10 special days where every, you can go buy a ticket to, almost half the home games that were, for $10. So, why do that? And then when we're like 2 or 3 weeks out of making the playoffs, then they decide, oh, you have to buy this whole script, and you have to pay for every possible playoff game that could happen up front that might happen in 3 weeks.
And then even when you're mathematically that's not going to happen.
Then they waited 2 days after we were mathematically eliminated to refund our money.
No, it was 2 weeks. It was 3. It was about a month. Yeah. The thing was, at one point, the Mariners, they wanted to sell you the tickets. They made you buy the ticket card round 1. We've never seen that here because we played in Toronto when we went to the playoffs. Same situation that was going to happen this year. We were either going to play at Baltimore or Tampa Bay, whoever didn't win the East, and or we were going to win the West. So there was no mathematical way the Mariners were going to play a wild card series that could possibly be 3 games in T-Mobile Park.
Right.
But they still
Charge for it.
Yeah, and I paid for my playoff ticket strips after that was lock, stock, and barrel. They weren't playing here, and they still made me pay for those up front.
Right.
They borrowed the money, they gave it back, though.
Mm-hmm.
No interest.
No interest. I do it.
So what's the advantage of getting your season tickets done?
Right.
That's.
I mean, priority.
And then the other thing, sorry, Hannah, to cut you off. What did it for me was I got, season tickets so that I would get my All-Star and Home Run Derby tickets. Right. And I bought my Home Run Derby tickets up in the Trident section, row 2. Is that what it's called? The Trident deck with the bar.
We were row 5 in the corner. Like, you can't go any farther on the down the line. It was going to be great. We were going to be in the shade. We bought those, and then Major League Baseball came in and said, "Sorry, we're taking the spot over." Yeah. They sent us over to the first baseline, baking in the sun.
They didn't even give us an option or anything. No. They're like, "We're taking these tickets away from you, and you go sit over here."
Yeah. And then it was Major League Baseball's fault. I get it, but they have to. Then don't sell those to fans in the first.
No, they're
and so that was his thing.
They're giving them the corporate sponsor.
Yeah. So the value of our tickets, let's just say you were going to resell them, they went down mightily, and just the fan experience of where you're sitting in hot ass July sun at 5 o'clock because they have to. This is an East Coast market game, so they got to play the game at 5 o'clock here in July is like 3 o'clock anywhere else.
I think I lasted half an inning for that All-Star game up in the sun.
ESPN Edmonds.
I wanted to ask you guys a question with the season tickets. Wasn't it another thing like? Don't you guys get like auto renewed, and they did that to you guys and raised the prices and didn't tell anybody? Am I remembering that correctly?
They don't it's not that they don't tell you, they tell you the new price. They don't go, hey, it's gonna change. They do show you the new price, so it's not like they're
and they auto renew. You have to opt out. Yeah. They would just automatically charge you. So if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, the other thing was, and then they sent you the email like 24 hours before, like, we're gonna auto renew your season tickets in 24 hours if you don't opt out of them. And if you opt out of them, you're gonna lose all privileges.
Right.
So I was like, fine.
Yeah. But they did email us a couple times before that. But they did give us a 24-hour, like, we're gonna do it. And they did just go, this is the new price, and they didn't explain to you why. You're just like, whoa.
I opted out. A month, 2 months before, and then I get an email saying, we're trying to charge a card and it won't go through. You need to put your card in. And I said, well, because I automatically took my card out of there so that they wouldn't charge me. And I'm like, yeah, well, quit trying to charge me. I already told you I'm not going to do it. So they still try to get you.
Well, and also, though, we have to look at it this way. Are we the idiots sitting here going, we're not signing Ohtani and we didn't renew our tickets, and then we're going to fucking wake up tomorrow before this episode's
and they're going to be broke because we didn't renew our ticket. Yeah.
But you guys, you did get a new rideshare parking lot, a new suites behind home plate, and a new Hatback Bar and Grill. So you paid for something.
Yeah.
Right now, I did not renew, as I think I said there in the segment, but I'm planning on it. And trust me, at least once a day, there's a second where I'm scared that we are going to get Ohtani and there's going to be no season tickets left to have. But until that does or does not happen, I guess that will just be Another one of my reoccurring nightmares, along with me not being able to turn in my homework on time. Anyways, that's our episode for today. This was just an early Thanksgiving leftovers / forgetting about the Seattle Seahawks woes right now episode of the Rye Bread and Mustard of Mariners podcast. Season 3 starts this Monday. I'll be back with Hannah. We'll be talking about all the hot topics, all the tea that we're seeing online, social media, what we're hearing, what we're feeling. We'll be back talking about it. Maybe you are having trouble finding more and more Mariner stuff after you go through all the other Mariner stuff. Well, that's why this podcast is perfect for you. We're going through it all. We're talking about it all this Monday on the Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, Season 3, Episode 1, right here on the Odyssey app or wherever else you're getting that podcast action from. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, and give us that 5-star review. We love those 5-tool baseball players, but you know what? We love those 5-star reviews just as much, maybe even more than close family members. Anyways, I'm going to shut the hell up, let you get out of here. Thanks again for listening. We'll talk to you on Monday.